Fresh from a dominating win in Taupo, three-time D1NZ legend Gaz Whiter has made a return to the championship title fight, sitting second in the points race behind Red Bull's Mad Mike Whitted, who has a small points lead in the 2014 series after 4 out of 4 consistent podiums, including a round win in Whangarei. Now as the series makes its way south to Christchurch, will Gaz Whiter continue a strong comeback, or will Mad Mike hold on to his points lead heading into the concrete grand final at Mount Smart? You're watching the penultimate round of the Cody's D1NZ Championship Series right here on Oversteer TV. Yes, it's round 5 of the Cody's D1NZ National Drifting Championship, the Royal Rumble here at Mike Pero Motorsport Park in Christchurch. It is also the final round of the BP Ultimate Triple Crown. Let's get right into the action here on Oversteer TV and check out the championship highlights. Well, it's been a two-horse race since Hampton Downs, and after crashing out of Tauranga in practice, Gaz has bounced back in the points race with a second round win in Taupo, but Mad Mike's podium consistency and round win in Whangarei have kept him in first place with a small lead, and regardless of what happens in Christchurch, it's all going to come down to the wire at the grand final.
So championship, yeah, I mean we've, the goal's like podium every round, we've done that, qualify top 3 every round, we've done that, so we've got the lead that we want. And just stay focused and not do anything silly, 2 rounds to go, just now, just don't want to break anything, and then the final round, Mount Smart, will be a good one, another concrete jungle, so I really like those style tracks, and here at Christchurch we've got a wicked fan base down here, as we come down here once a year, the track's awesome, so I'm really looking forward today.
We need a good result for the championship. We're right there in second, after Tauranga, that was a big kick in the head. We got no points there, which was not ideal after some stupid little steering problem, and then of course the gearbox jamming. As I said at the start, you need the car to do the whole season to have a shot at the championship, but I'm just glad we're still in second coming into this penultimate round.
The 5th round of the Cody's D1NZ Championship Series arrived in Christchurch over Easter weekend. South Island fans were treated to 2 days of high-octane motorsport as the drivers tackled the longest drift section of the season. Teams spent practice fine-tuning setups on the fast-flowing cambered corners, Ruddell Raceway producing plenty of grip in cool conditions. Former champion Kurt Whitaker was laying down plenty of rubber in the 2JZ-powered R34 Skyline, the longer full-throttle drift section reducing tyre wear to just 2 laps.
We're getting 2 good laps and that's it. I'll try and do a 3rd lap on a set of tyres and I'll end up washing off or coming off the track. So we know we get 2 laps out of 2 good laps out of a set of tyres, give them a good warm-up and then get into it, 2 laps, no point in carrying on, just come in, change them, get back out again. So, hey, between us and Rattler, we brought down over 70 tyres and somehow I think we're going to go through them.
Rattler Motorsport bring their A-game to Christchurch. Drivers Shane Allen and V8 supercar regular Shane Van Gisbergen both looking for redemption in the BOC raced up Falcon after mechanical dramas put them in borrowed cars at Taupo. Team Achilles also had their full contingent of cars with Drift South regular Joel Counter joining the lineup at Ruddell. Round 3 winner Andrew Redwood enjoying full throttle in the V8 powered FC RX-7.
Yeah, it's a good long track, and it's just eating the tyres. But yeah, it's just cool how it's just tapped the whole way and heaps of smoke and just staying on the limiter pretty much the whole track, which is pretty exciting.
Leading the championship, Red Bull's Mad Mike Whittett brought a full assault to Christchurch, electing to bring both cars to round 5. Bringing a second car proved its worth after day 1. The Mad Bull RX-7 went out of action with a blown gearbox, Mad Mike stepping into the RX-8 for qualifying.
This morning we've gone out there and blown the gearbox in the Mad Bull. We've been forced to swap back into the RX-8, so nothing wrong with us. We're just a couple of little bits and pieces, but been out for a test just before. Everything feels really good, so pretty confident when you got 800 plus horsepower underneath your pedal.
Returning D1NZ veteran Stephen Soul made an appearance at round 5, debuting a new 2JZ powered R32 Skyline, the iconic camouflage paint scheme looking staunch on track.
I can't stop smiling really. I just love it. I just cringe coming and watch. I have to be driving. Yeah, it's just good to see all the old faces and have a bit of a laugh here and there about old rounds coming down here years ago. So yeah, it's good to see everyone again.
With the D1NZ circus making its only visit to the South Island this year, there was plenty of support for the local drivers. The Family Guy Troy Forsyth unveiling a new look for the Drift Direct S13. Leading the Southern Charge though has been Chris Jackson in the red Surfab S14, the rising star enjoying a top 10 result in the championship in his first year of D1NZ.
So far we're coming 9th overall, so that's pretty good. My goal was top 16. So far the car's going pretty good, running the new 123 Achilles. So fast, compared to the sport tyres I used to run, I'm going to have to practice on my chasing because it just straight away just gets up on their door. But hopefully qualifying goes good, and yeah.
Defending series champion Fanger Dan has chosen to run the full season behind the wheel of the Castrol Edge Commodore, with the new VE chassis still in development for next season. Running solid laps in practice with a new car setup, Fanger was one of the front runners heading into qualifying.
We knew where we went wrong last year with gearing. We didn't quite have the revs to do the whole section, so we made sure we got that right before coming down here. And as soon as I did my first lap, I was just so stoked, jumped out of the car happy as, knowing that we had the gearing right, that we conquered that. And then just started playing around with the setup and got it pretty good, and had a few little issues yesterday afternoon. Maybe pushing it too hard, and that the section's just so long, a lot of people don't realise how long it is, and the cars are going under some pretty extreme pressure,
Qualifying at Ruapuna wasn't without a little drama as Zach Pohl went off the track with steering issues, Nico Reed having a shocker weekend with mechanical dramas before losing his front bumper on the final part of the drift section. Counting down the order, Dainham Temperman would slot into 9th place ahead of Chris Jackson in the 2JZ powered NAC RX-7. Mad Mike Whittett down the order from normal, slotting into 8th place in the 3-rotor Red Bull RX-8. V Energy's Cole Armstrong would be the best of the Nissan 6s, qualifying in 7th. South Island local Phil Sutherland taking 6th place on his home track. Drew Donovan enjoyed a podium in Christchurch last year. A refreshed V8 powered Milwaukee S15 Sylvia looking strong again in 5th place. Kurt Whittaker flew the 2JZ flag in 4th. Fanger Dan securing 3rd in the Castrol Edge Commodore. Andrew Redwood took out 2nd spot with an 87-point pass, but it was Gaz Whiter who took the spotlight, smashing Nico Reed's bumper, A miscommunication with track officials meant Gaz would get another lap, and with a clean run Gaz would go to the top with an 88-point pass, taking pole position in the Technoloy Coolants S14.
Good. That's what we wanted. We had a bit of a hiccup in the first qualifying run with a bumper being left on the track. They missed it as I was going through and cleaned that up, but they said we could have another run, and ended up with an 88, which put us on top, and then went for it all in the second run and dropped the wheel and ended up with the same score, so pretty happy with that. Qualified number 1, and hopefully we can do it in the battles now. You know, anything can happen, but I'm feeling good, so yeah, bring it on.
So Gaz Whiter continues a big comeback and finds himself in the hunt for a 4th championship victory, taking another pole position ahead of Mad Mike down the order in 8th place. He's got a lot of work to do in the battles if he wants to keep that championship lead heading into the final round. Don't go away, after the break it's battle time, highlights of the top 32. Welcome back to highlights of the top 32 battles for round 5 of the 2014 D1NZ Championship Series. Gaz Whiter taking an easy win into the top 16 against Adam Hedges. Zach Pohl bounced back from a broken steering knuckle in qualifying to battle Southern local Troy Forsyth, grabbing a win into the top 16. Rattler's Shane Allen lined up against Danum Templeman in the 32. Unfortunately for the young gun, the 2JZ powered RX-7 drove away with a win, Danum moving through to the top 16. Kurt Whitaker made short work of the Burger Fuel 350Z in the 32. Another 2JZ campaigner driving away with a win, Brad Smith pushing wide into the dirt. Pushing Jody Verhulst into an OMT, Guy Baggery put on a good drive in front of a home crowd, but it just wasn't enough the second time round, Verhulst taking the win. Stephen Soul made his return to competition, lined up against Cole Armstrong in the R32 Skyline. Despite a good drive, the 2JZ powered machine couldn't fend off the RB26 4-door, Armstrong through to the top 16. Another 4-door progressing through was the Nexon Tyre C35 Laurel, Jake Hakara taking a consistent win over Chris Jackson in the Surfab S14. The 4-door drift party continued in the 32 with current Drift Kings Darren Kelly and Fanga Dan meeting for the second time this season. This time the Castrol Edge Commodore stood its ground against the Thirsty Liquor R34, Woolhouse grabbing the win. Achilles teammates Bruce Tannock and Joel Counter battled for bragging rights. Bruce Tannock showing experience at the pedals though, taking a win in the Rocket Bunny S13. The big drama of the weekend would unfold between Dave Steedman and series points leader Mad Mike in the Red Bull RX-8. Dave Steedman taking a huge spin on the final section, while Mad Mike straight line scoring a 0. With both drivers making big mistakes, the battle went to a rerun, Mad Mike holding a strong chase until the RX-8 overheated in the final section, the 2014 championship chase blown wide open. Into the top 16, Gaz Whiter would begin a charge to the championship lead with a textbook chase on Zach Pole in the Rollet Action Cam R33, Gaz taking the win into the top 8. Despite defeating Mad Mike, Dave Steben would bow out of the top 16 with a mechanical. Danum Templeman would move through while Kurt Whitaker had the better chase on Kyle Jackaways, the Autosure R34 taking a win into the top 8. Milwaukee's Drew Donovan led out from Aidan Omland in the 16, the V8 powered Nissan Silvia pulling a gap with an easy win into the top 8. It wasn't as easy for Milwaukee teammate Jody Verhulst though. The 2JZ powered Toyota Supra held its own, but a strong chase from Andrew Redwood would see the Achilles FC RX-7 take the win. Jacob Hakarai was putting on a good drive in the battles, the Nexon Tyres C35 leading out a small gap from the V-Energy R34, but it just fell away in the final section, Jake pushing wide off the track, Cole Armstrong taking the win. It was nostalgia for Shane Van Gisbergen, who lined up against Fanger Dan for another chance at Ford vs Holden rivalry. This time the Rattler Falcon would have the upper hand with a textbook chase, Van Gisbergen taking the win into the top 8. The last Southern hope in the top 16 was Phil Sutherland in the Drains and Developments A31 Zafiro. With home track experience on his side, Bruce Tannock couldn't match in the chase, Phil grabbing the win. The start of the top 8 was less than ideal, with Kurt Whitaker pulling out of competition with a diff failure, Drew Donovan taking a free pass into the top 4. Gaz Whiter continued to capitalise on Mad Mike's shock exit in the 32, the Tectaloy S14 putting on another solid display against NAC's Danum Templeman, Gaz Whiter grabbing the win. Andrew Redwood was another continuing his qualifying form in the top 8, leading out from Cole Armstrong in the V-Energy R34. Despite a good chase run, Cole Armstrong would make a big mistake in the lead pass, handing an easy win to Redwood through to the top 4. The last local hope for South Island fans continued another strong drive into the top 8, Phil Sutherland doing his best to fend off an on-form Shane Van Gisbergen, but it just wasn't enough, the Rattler Falcon taking the win. Into the finals and fighting for a chance at the podium, Gaz Whiter could almost taste the champagne as he battled Drew Donovan in the top 4, opening up a gap on the Milwaukee S15. Mad Mike could only watch on from the sidelines as Gaz continued to attack his series points lead, laying down another clean chase to take the win into the final, Drew Donovan spearing off into the dirt. On the flip side, Shane Van Gisbergen continued a dominating performance in the BOC Race Stuff Falcon, the Kiwi V8 supercar pilot fending off a dramatic dive from Andrew Redwood, Van Gisbergen through to his first ever D1NZ final. This would see Redwood battle Drew Donovan for third place, the Achilles FC RX-7 powering away in the lead pass. With a podium in his sights, Redwood couldn't keep it together in the chase run, Drew Donovan keeping a consistent lap while Redwood threw his chances away with too many mistakes, Drew Donovan taking another third place trophy at Ruapuna. The final battle of the weekend was one much anticipated by drift fans across the country, the sport's newest rising star taking on a 3-time champion. Driving to the absolute limit, Gaz Whiter managed to pull a sizable gap on the Rattler Falcon, but Shane van Gisbergen was still in with a chance for his first ever D1NZ round win. The final lap of the day would see thousands of fans on their feet as two V8 powered machines battled into the sunset. The Tectaloy S14 just inches short of knocking on Van Gisbergen's door, Gaz Whiter going back to back from pole position and taking his third round win of the season. Well, you couldn't ask for a more intense penultimate round for the 2014 championship because Gaz Whiter has reinforced why he is a three-time Drift King, taking another pole to round victory ahead of Shane van Gisbergen and Drew Donovan. Andrew Redwood takes fourth ahead of Whitaker, Sutherland, Armstrong, Templeman, Woolhouse and Bruce Tannock, rounding out the top 10.
So we just finished up here at round 5 Christchurch and we managed to take it out, so we're pretty pumped on that. We're now leading the points. After Taupo we blew a motor and had to rebuild it during the break, and it held together and we're pretty stoked. So going into the final we're ahead on points, so it's it's going to be another tight one. So everyone get to Mount Smart for the final, round 6, and we'll see you there.
So Gaz Whiter has bounced back from disaster at round 3 to take a small points lead ahead of Mad Mike Whittet, setting up an absolutely down-to-the-wire grand final in just a few weeks' time. Can Gaz Whiter secure a 4th Drift King title, or will Mad Mike finally get his hands on the championship trophy after battling for so many years to stamp his name on the series? It's going to be a wild show under lights at Mount Smart Stadium. Tickets will sell out. The only night round on the calendar will decide our next D1NZ champion. Don't miss the action. All the highlights will be right here on Oversteer TV.